Moments later, the fox spirit's expression changed. She glanced toward the cave entrance. She's here after all. Should we just ask her outright? Let's see what she wants first, I said cautiously. The fox spirit nodded and raised her voice. Since you're here, come in and talk. A tall woman entered, her face covered by a gold veil, leaving only her eyes visible, calm and emotionless. Her statuesque figure and commanding aura gave her an air of regal authority. It was definitely her. The fox spirit exuded a seductive charm, but the Yangtze River Dragon Lady was all icy elegance and intellectual sophistication. Her love for calligraphy and paintings was well known, though her veiled face was a slight mystery. Yangtze River Dragon Lady, what brings you here? We're not exactly friends, the fox spirit said bluntly. I'm here for him, the Dragon Lady said, her pale, elegant hand pointing at me. It was the first time I'd heard her speak. Her voice was as cold as ice, sending a shiver down my spine. My expression faltered as I realized Jiang Jiuxuan was right, she was indeed here for me. The fox spirit raised an eyebrow. He's married. What do you want with him? The Dragon Lady's icy gaze flicked toward her. If you have nothing to say, then don't speak. The fox spirit let out a disgruntled huff, and the atmosphere grew tense. She turned to me. Talk to her. I'm not wasting my breath on someone like her. This Dragon Lady really didn't know how to play nice. Even casual banter turned into something cold and awkward. I nodded and looked at the Dragon Lady. You came at the right time. I was planning to talk to you too. The Dragon Lady frowned. If you're going to ask for my protection, don't bother. No, that's not it. You have a good relationship with the Dragon King, and I won't put you in a difficult position, I explained. A difficult position? You haven't earned the right to make me put myself in one, she said coolly. She was implying I wasn't worth her time. I was speechless and could only lay out the situation. After hearing me out, the Dragon Lady furrowed her brows. I can deal with that person, but you want to release him? Yes, I nodded. Her arrival had simplified things. Absolutely not, the Dragon Lady said firmly. My expression darkened. The fox spirit snapped, it's just some beast. Why not? I said no. That's final, the Dragon Lady replied without a hint of compromise. This was going to be tough. Don't you care that he'll continue wreaking havoc if released? The fox spirit pressed angrily. His actions are none of my concern, the Dragon Lady said coldly. Her lofty perspective was clear. To beings of her level, the lives of others meant nothing, like blades of grass in the wind. But then why not let him go? Was she afraid of the consequences? Then leave. The fox spirit said coldly. I'm not here for you, the Dragon Lady replied, her brow furrowed. This is my territory. You're not welcome, the fox spirit retorted sharply. The tension between them was palpable, the air thick with hostility. In terms of sheer presence, the fox spirit couldn't match her. The Dragon Lady was clearly more powerful. Sensing a fight brewing, I quickly asked, what do you want with me? The Dragon Lady glanced at me. Come with me. Go where? I frowned. If you won't explain, how can I trust you? For all I know, you're taking me to see the Dragon King. Your imagination is childish, she said with a frown. If you won't explain, I'm not going, I refused outright. Jiang Jiuxuan, is your husband this cowardly? She asked, looking at my wife. My husband is brave, Jiang Jiuxuan said, standing by my side. But if you want him to go, you need to be clear about your intentions. Seems like he's not going to amount to much, the Dragon Lady said with a cold glance before turning to leave. Her demeanor suggested she regretted coming here. I was furious. You show up uninvited and now leave without saying anything? Do you think this place is your playground? The Dragon Lady stopped, her eyes narrowing to slits. The fox spirit smirked, stepping forward to block her path. She was clearly more than annoyed. Jiang Jiuxuan also stood her ground, glaring at the Dragon Lady. Explain yourself. If you don't, you're not leaving. I stepped forward. I will save that creature no matter what, whether you agree or not. Are you threatening me? The Dragon Maiden's voice turned icy, and the cavern's atmosphere grew frigid. You threatened me first. As soon as I walked in, you ordered me to leave. Do I owe you anything? I retorted. Looks like I misjudged you. You're not worth my time. The Dragon Maiden turned to leave, her attitude cold and indifferent. The 1,000-year-old fox spirit could barely hold back and was about to strike when suddenly, the Dragon Maiden let out a soft laugh and vanished in an instant. The next moment, she reappeared, resting her hand on the fox spirit's shoulder. The fox's expression shifted instantly. I was stunned. What a surprise move. You're useless too, the Dragon Maiden said curtly, and the fox spirit's face flushed red. She was about to leave when Jiang Jiuxuan spoke up. My husband said you can't leave. In a flash, Jiang Jiuxuan moved to block the dragon maiden's path, matching her speed effortlessly. The dragon maiden frowned. You want to fight? My husband said you can't leave. Jiang Jiuxuan stared at her coldly. The dragon maiden's pupils flickered as she spoke softly. Jiang Jiuxuan, I've heard of you, but I have no intention of fighting you. Then it's simple. Do as my husband said and clarify the matter. Jiang Jiuxuan replied. Both the fox spirit and I fixed our eyes on her. This is a private matter, the dragon maiden refused to disclose. A private matter? That was the implication. But her tone lacked the domineering coldness from earlier. It was clear she didn't want to fight Jiang Jiuxuan. Jiang Jiuxuan noticed this and took a step back. If it's private, I won't ask. But my husband asked to go to your place and release that person, you need to consider it. The dragon maiden started to hesitate. That person was suppressed by the previous dragon king. I'm the current one. The previous one instructed me never to release him. If you release him, calamity will likely follow. That person is too dangerous. Her words made our expressions change drastically. Does that mean that if we save him, he might turn on us, his saviors? This situation just got a lot more complicated. How powerful has he become after being suppressed for thousands of years? But fortunately, her tone shifted again. Since you brought it up, I'll pretend I didn't hear it. The immortality sealing technique on him, you'll have to figure out how to break it yourselves. I breathed a sigh of relief. The 1,000-year-old fox spirit, who was just about to act, held herself back. Jiang Jiuxuan nodded. Fair enough. After she relented, the Yangtze River dragon maiden turned her gaze toward me. I got the hint and stepped forward. Since the Dragon King is so reasonable, I'll go with you now. She had already compromised, and if I didn't take the initiative, it would be too rude. Although we aren't saints, dealing with people requires some tact. The Yangtze River dragon maiden gave me a new look, her expression softening considerably. It seemed she feared Jiang Jiuxuan's strength and took a step back to avoid a bloody fight. This was the best outcome. If it had come to a fight, even minor injuries would be unavoidable. The 1,000-year-old fox spirit's expression shifted slightly. Jiang Jiuxuan leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Husband, her issue seems to be a private matter and not dangerous. It should be resolved quickly." "All right," I replied. I told Jiang Jiuxuan and the fox spirit to head to the location where the immortality sealing technique was being used and study it first. I would accompany the Yangtze River dragon maiden to settle her matter and then join them to work on breaking the seal. "I'll follow your plan, husband." Jiang Jiuxuan nodded. The 1,000-year-old fox spirit had no objections either. Initially, I thought about stopping by to greet the water palace mistress, but since she was still recovering, I decided not to disturb her. The fox spirit specifically instructed her daughter not to wander off. With everything settled, the four of us left the cavern and prepared to go our separate ways. Jiang Jiuxuan and the fox spirit headed toward the Yangtze River, and I reminded them to wait for me before breaking the immortality sealing technique. Although I wasn't as strong as them, I didn't want them to face danger first. "Husband, I'll listen to you," Jiang Jiuxuan said gently. I breathed a sigh of relief, she was such an understanding wife. The 1,000-year-old fox spirit, on the other hand, said to Jiang Jiuxuan, "Men are all the same. They're no good. Being too kind to them is pointless, they'll betray you without a second thought and never appreciate your kindness." I was speechless. She'd been abandoned by a man and was clearly biased against all men. Betrayal means finding another woman? Jiang Jiuxuan asked. "What else?" The fox spirit shrugged. "I wish my husband would take more wives. As long as he's happy, I don't mind," Jiang Jiuxuan said gently, looking at me. She continued, "Just because a man betrayed you doesn't mean all men are like that." It was simple and clear, she was saying I wasn't like the man who had abandoned the fox spirit. The 1,000-year-old fox spirit shook her head. "You'll regret not heeding my advice. Men are inherently this way." "I won't. My husband has always been good to me. You don't know his true nature." "Once you see his goodness, your opinion will change," Jiang Jiuxuan said firmly. "There hasn't been a man who could make me change my opinion in a long time," the fox spirit replied indifferently. "Don't be so sure." Jiang Jiuxuan turned to me with a gentle smile. "Husband, we'll go ahead now." "All right," I nodded. They were both quick and clever. In just a few blinks, they had disappeared. I relaxed. The Yangtze River dragon maiden showed no interest in their conversation. She clearly had no concern for matters of love and relationships. The dragon maiden and I descended the mountain. She unexpectedly got into a brand new G-Wagon. I was surprised, do all beautiful women like this car? Even spirits? I got in. The car was spotless and carried a faint, sweet fragrance unique to virgins. It seemed her cultivation had reached this level partly because she had preserved her pure, untouched state. Her aloof and solitary nature, combined with her unwillingness to show her true face, confirmed this. Of course, I didn't dare to dwell on it. I buckled my seatbelt, and the dragon maiden drove off. She didn't speak the entire way, her words few and far between. I closed my eyes to rest. After 2 hours of driving, the car stopped near an urban village on the outskirts of the city. It was rush hour, and the area was bustling with people. Men and women, all ordinary workers going about their day. This is section 4158. I've followed your request to maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout while processing the content logically. Here's the result. I once thought she must have made a mistake, someone so proud. How could she stop in such a bustling, chaotic area? In her eyes, this place was clearly dirty, messy, and beneath her. Here? I asked in surprise. This is where her so-called private matter was? What could possibly be here? The Long River Dragon lady didn't answer. She just stared in one direction. Feeling helpless, I only wanted to help her deal with this quickly so I could go find Jiang Jiuxuan. On the roadside of this urban village, a car worth several million was parked, drawing envious stares from passers-by. The car's presence guaranteed a 100% turn-back rate. Sitting inside, I felt uneasy. I used to envy this kind of attention too. The Long River Dragon lady remained indifferent, silent, her gaze fixed on the crowd. Half an hour passed, and her expression finally shifted. I followed her line of sight. In the crowd, amidst shabby clothes, a young man still stood out with his striking looks. He was tall and dignified, like a crane among chickens. Sword-like brows, starry eyes, and well-defined features, but his face bore the weariness of life. I was certain she was watching him. How could someone like him live so ordinarily? As a fortune-teller, I could tell at a glance that he was extraordinary, exuding the aura of wealth and privilege. Yet now, life and poverty had worn him down to a shadow of his former self. It didn't add up. I asked her in surprise, "Is that your brother?" Their brows and expressions bore a striking resemblance, there was no doubt they shared blood ties. And since she was a maiden, it could only mean they were siblings. But something didn't make sense. The Long River Dragon lady was a spirit, how could her brother be human? Could it be that one of her parents was human? It was possible. My own origins weren't too different. The Long River Dragon lady nodded. "What do you mean by this?" I asked. "He's my biological brother. We share the same mother," she said, her tone softening slightly. "I was born a spirit, but he's human. He will age, fall ill, and die. Before my mother passed, she asked me to take care of him." "How old is he?" I asked. "Younger than me." I fell silent. Had she somehow extended his life? Judging by his face, something was indeed unusual. He had clearly lived longer than a typical human. Having a dragon king as a sister certainly came with perks, immortality for the brother. I had a good sister too, so I understood the sentiment. "Why did you bring me here?" I asked. "I want to give him money." "Enough money that he'll never run out," she said. I was stunned. "Then why not just give it to him directly?" "I've been giving him 5 million a month, but within a day, the money disappears. It's either burned, eaten by rats, or otherwise destroyed. The money simply won't stay," she explained. It occurred to me her brother wasn't truly considered human anymore. His name was likely long erased from the book of life and death. Not being human meant he lacked the fortune of mortals and couldn't hold on to wealth. Celestial money was useless to him, and earthly money couldn't be spent. So this was her private matter. I promised my mother I'd take care of him. He works tirelessly but still has no money and lives a hard life. As his sister, I'm powerless to help, she said, looking at her brother with a rare tenderness. Indeed, sisters are always gentlest toward their brothers. Outsiders like me could never hope to receive that kind of affection from her. I was anxious to reunite with Jiang Jiuxuan, but after some thought, I came up with an idea. Catching the faint fragrance unique to her spirit, I looked into her eyes and said, "Your brother's situation is complicated. No wonder you haven't found a solution. But there is a way, though it will require a small sacrifice from you. Are you willing?" "I didn't call you here to discuss sacrifices. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it," she replied coldly. Her words were clear, as long as it helped her brother, she was willing to do anything. She stared at me. "Then give me 3 drops of your maiden blood," I said. The Long River Dragon lady's eyes narrowed, and a cold glint flashed through them. "What are you waiting for? Didn't you just say you'd do anything?" I urged her, keeping my expression detached. After all, I had directly pointed out her virginity. She must have thought I was spouting nonsense. The long river dragon lady was silent for a few seconds before preparing to bite her finger to draw her blood. I shook my head. Wait. I need blood from the tip of your tongue. She glared at me, her gaze sharp enough to kill. I sighed. Why are you hesitating now? Did I not make myself clear? As I spoke, I grabbed a cup from her car and handed it to her. Expressionless, the long river dragon lady spat a few drops of fresh blood into the cup. Maiden blood was unlike ordinary blood, bright, translucent, and lacking any metallic scent. Instead, it carried a pure, fragrant aroma, like a blood gemstone. Her eyes remained fixed on me. I thought to myself, I didn't even flirt with her, why is she looking at me like that? Next, I took out a pen and some yellow paper. Dipping the pen into her maiden blood, I drew a life force talisman. Her brother was essentially a dead man. The first step was to boost his vitality and human energy so he could hold on to mortal wealth. This talisman required specific materials. Maidens weren't hard to find, but a few thousand-year-old maiden's blood was incredibly rare, like finding a lantern in the dark. With her blood added, the talisman's power increased tenfold. Now I need 10 strands of your hair. I folded the talisman and continued. Without a word, she pulled out 10 strands of her jet-black hair and handed them to me. I tied the strands into a small human shape, placed them in the talisman, and folded it securely. These were strands of hair from a spirit with thousands of years of cultivation. The rich energy they carried would further enhance the vitality. This is the cost you mentioned? She asked flatly. Don't be foolish. If it were that simple, you wouldn't have come to me. This is just the beginning, I said, shaking my head. She didn't reply. As I prepared to step out of the car, I asked, he doesn't know who you are, does he? He doesn't even know he has a sister? Correct. My mother instructed me never to reveal his origins. He was given to another family to raise right after birth. She said he was born of human flesh and should live a normal human life. Every 25 years, I relocate him, erase his memory, and let him start over, the long river dragon lady explained. For once, her expression softened, revealing a rare tenderness that made me envious of how good a sister she was. Of course, I had a sister too, so there was no need for envy. Her brother remained perpetually in his 20s, moving from place to place, time and again. It sounded exhausting. 25 years, how precious is youth. In countless 25-year cycles, he must have met many women who stirred his heart. Perhaps he even fell in love, got engaged, or started a family. Then his sister would appear, erase his memories, and whisk him away, leaving his lovers and children behind to fend for themselves. This was more cruel than abandonment. It inflicted pain on both the women and her brother. He had missed out on so many women. Again and again, he lost, started over, and saw his happiness destroyed. That, truly, was the most excruciating pain. How much did it hurt him every time they parted? For ordinary people, spending a lifetime with the one they love is true happiness, leaving no regrets. I looked at her younger brother again. His sword-like brows and starry eyes carried a hint of sorrow. Though I couldn't recall much, the pain etched in his gaze was undeniable. Her way of caring for him was, to some extent, extreme. Her controlling nature was overpowering, and after all these years, there wasn't even a shred of guilt. She had taken control of every aspect of her brother's life. Have you ever thought about letting him live peacefully for decades, getting married, having kids, and experiencing a normal cycle of life and death? I probed. Her gaze turned cold. I'm doing this for his own good. How do you know it's good for him if you've never asked? Everyone has a different understanding of what's good. What you think is good might be agony for him, I retorted. If I were him and knew the truth, I'd definitely break down. Time and again, his family and love life were torn apart, only to discover the culprit was his own sister. Who could accept that? I know I couldn't. You're talking too much. I didn't ask you here to question whether I care about my brother. I let him experience different lives, meet different people and women. What's wrong with sparing him from the pain of life and death? The chill in the dragon lady of the Yangtze River's eyes made the air inside the car turn icy. Clearly, her brother was her untouchable weak spot, her reverse scale that no one could bring up or provoke. You say you let him meet different friends and women, and that's true, it's something you've given him, I acknowledged with a nod. That's right. He's my own brother. How could I harm him? She said coldly. But you gave him those experiences and then took them away with your own hands. I continued. She froze for a moment, a flicker of shock flashing in her eyes, but it quickly turned indifferent. What's worth holding on to in mortal emotions? When they're gone, they're gone. Out with the old, in with the new. He doesn't need any of it. But isn't he, by your own words, just another mortal? Why wouldn't he need it? I pressed on. She froze again. Isn't it human to go through familial love, friendship, and romantic love? I pushed further. Her breathing quickened. Her lips moved slightly as if to speak, but no words came out. For a brief moment, doubt flickered across her face before vanishing, replaced by an even colder expression. Enough. Everything I've done is for his own good. Fine, let's just say I'm being chatty. I shrugged. This wasn't my business. I just wanted to help her resolve the matter quickly and then go find Jiang Jiuxuan and the others. What else do you need? The dragon lady asked impatiently. Just as I was about to say I was more anxious than she was and that we needed to give him the talisman and proceed to the next step, a sudden knock came at the car window. The dragon lady, uncharacteristically, grew tense. Get him to leave. I turned my head to look. It was her younger brother, politely knocking on the window. No wonder she was nervous. She had been controlling her brother's life all along without showing herself. He was her Achilles heel and her deepest secret. Now that her weak spot had actively sought her out, she panicked. After all, in all these years, she had never seen her brother voluntarily approach her. Even a dragon king is powerless in the face of familial ties. I rolled down the window. He said politely, "Hello? What's the matter?" I asked. He explained that he had noticed the car while passing by. Compared to his living conditions, this car was something others envied. Yet, he had boldly knocked on the window to inquire. Seeing his expression, I immediately understood. He had good news. He was getting married tomorrow. He wanted to borrow this car as his wedding car. He didn't have the money to rent one, but he wanted to give his wife a perfect wedding, so he mustered the courage to ask. It was both a moment of joy and a cruel twist of fate. Tomorrow, he would turn 25. Once the wedding was over, his sister would mercilessly erase his memories, forcing him to abandon his wife and child to start life anew. Instinctively, he didn't want this, but his fate wasn't his to decide. The dragon lady quickly turned her head to the side. Her brother mistook this as disdain, which made him feel even more inferior. He didn't even dare to touch the car, apologizing profusely. "Sorry for disturbing you." I stayed silent, but the dragon lady couldn't bear to see her brother's despondent expression. She immediately asked, "What do you need?" His eyes lit up. "I'm getting married tomorrow, but I can't afford to rent a wedding car. I was hoping you'd let me borrow this car for the occasion." I glanced at the dragon lady. No, she rejected him outright, clearly mindful that tomorrow was the day she'd erase his memories. His disappointment deepened, his eyes growing even sadder. "Apologies for bothering you." I remained silent. This wasn't my issue, and I shouldn't interfere. But as someone with a little brother myself, watching this scene made me angry. He apologized politely, smiled self-deprecatingly, and turned to leave. Sighing, he muttered, "Honey, I guess we'll have to make do tomorrow." I really couldn't help it. "You've worked so hard all these years. After we're married, I'll work hard to make sure you have a good life. If only I had family. Maybe they'd help me. But sadly, I don't." The words family struck a nerve with the dragon lady. Her body trembled slightly. Just as her brother, face full of disappointment, was about to walk away, she finally spoke up. "Wait. I'll let you use the car tomorrow." He turned around, incredulous. "Really?" Excited, he walked back toward us. I kept watching the dragon lady. She actually agreed? She finally showed a sliver of compassion, but what difference would it make? Tomorrow, she would still heartlessly take her brother away from this home, from his wife. She avoided his eyes and gave a small nod. "Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much." Her brother was overjoyed, nearly moved to tears. "Honey, tomorrow you won't have to pull the wedding cart yourself. You can be like all the other brides and ride in a proper car." He couldn't wait to share the news with his wife. For ordinary people, such small joys are enough to make them happy. At that moment, the dragon lady turned her head, her expression complicated and tender as she gazed at her brother. "How should I address you?" "Oh, my name's Xiaoyan," he said happily. The dragon lady stammered, unable to answer even such a simple question. The atmosphere grew awkward. I quickly stepped in, wrapping an arm around her shoulder, catching a faint whiff of her scent. Unable to resist, I said, "She's my girlfriend. Her surname is Long, and she's older than you. Just call her Sister Long." "Sister Long, nice to meet you," he said politely, his eyes full of curiosity. My hand was still on her fragrant shoulder, and I could feel her body was as cold as ice. Every hair on her skin seemed to stand on end, and I half expected her to obliterate me in the next second. But when she heard Sister Long, her body trembled, softening as though she was about to melt. This is section 43/58. Below is the processed content, retaining the original structure, paragraph breaks, and overall layout. The elder sister deeply cares for her younger brother. Over the years, she has silently protected him. To her, the word sister carries immense significance, which explains her strong reaction. Why are you acting like a dead fish? He's talking to you. I hugged her gently, feeling her body jiggle like jelly in my arms. She snapped out of it, why you, hello. As the ruler of a river, she's faced countless waves and storms, yet she seemed a bit nervous here. It showed that, despite her cold demeanor, she genuinely wanted to be a good sister to her brother. After all, who isn't cautious and meticulous when it comes to family? She was indifferent toward everyone except her brother. Dragon sister, you're so beautiful, her brother complimented. Her forehead turned slightly red as she shook her head. Not at all. Hearing her brother's praise, she couldn't help but feel happy. Really, Xiaoyan said earnestly. She rarely blushed. Where's your home? The Yangtze River Dragon Lady asked, regaining her composure. It's just ahead. Why not stay at the place I rented tonight? Xiaoyan invited warmly. She hesitated for a moment. Don't worry. My place may be small and shabby, but it's very clean. Okay. She nodded. Xiaoyan let out a sigh of relief. Please, come in. I felt a wave of warmth on my shoulder and quickly let go of her. She glanced at me, opened the car door, and got out. I followed. Xiaoyan led the way, happily sending a voice message to his girlfriend, praising her as he mentioned meeting some kind-hearted people and securing a wedding car. He talked about picking her up from the hotel tomorrow, saying she would be the most beautiful bride, his joy making him seem like a child. The happiness of ordinary people can be so simple. I overheard his girlfriend's voice message, gentle and pleasantly surprised. She seemed like the ideal wife and mother type. Unfortunately, this lovely bride would be heartlessly abandoned by her groom tomorrow. The Yangtze River Dragon Lady's eyes sparkled as she watched her brother's happiness, her smile reflecting his joy. When we reached the rented place, it was small and rundown, with only a bed and a tiny dining table, but it was clean and exuded warmth. Xiaoyan explained the details about the bathroom, water source, and bathing precautions while the Yangtze River Dragon Lady listened quietly. There are 2 rooms. This one is for you, Dragon Sister. He opened the door to a small room with a bed and a simple stool. All right. She didn't mind the modest room her brother had arranged for her. After entering, I followed. She told her brother, arrange a room for him. Aren't you two a couple? Why are you sleeping separately? The bed's too small, so you'll have to make do tonight, Xiaoyan teased. Just arrange it. The Yangtze River Dragon Lady refused. I cleared my throat. Fine, no problem. Her eyes narrowed slightly at me. All right. Xiaoyan sighed in relief and asked if we had eaten. I said we hadn't. Xiaoyan, wanting to show his gratitude, insisted on taking us out for food. I wasn't particularly interested, but since he insisted, I turned to ask the Yangtze River Dragon Lady. This time, she didn't refuse. Sure. I was hungry too, so I had no objections. Let's go. There's food downstairs. Xiaoyan said enthusiastically, leading the way out. The Yangtze River Dragon Lady looked at me, as if she wanted to say something. I spoke first. I have a thing about cleanliness. I'll take the bed tonight, you can figure something out. She wasn't my wife, so I saw no need to accommodate her. I didn't wait for her response and left first, handing a protective charm to Xiaoyan. He looked at it, surprised. What's this? A peace talisman, for safety. Thank you. Xiaoyan carefully put the charm away, visibly relieved. After all, this was the crucial first step. Luckily, the task for tomorrow should go smoothly. I wondered how Jiang Jiuxuan and the others were progressing. Had they reached the suppression point yet? We went downstairs, and only then did the Yangtze River Dragon Lady follow. Xiaoyan didn't have much money on him, so he took us to a street stall, where we found a spot to sit. Since he rarely ate out, Xiaoyan struggled to order, staring at the menu for a long time without choosing anything. The waiter standing nearby grew visibly impatient, and Xiaoyan's face turned red. I took the menu and casually ordered the cheapest items. The waiter went to prepare the food, and Xiaoyan finally relaxed. He muttered, I've really never eaten out before. I said, neither have I. Pretty soon, you'll be able to eat out every day, go anywhere you want, the Yangtze River Dragon Lady remarked. Dragon sister, stop trying to comfort me. I'm not capable, I can't make money and live a miserable life. Where would I get extra money to eat out all the time? Xiaoyan said with a bitter smile. Poverty had clearly crushed any dreams of wealth he once had. I'm not comforting you, the Yangtze River Dragon Lady replied seriously. Xiaoyan still smiled bitterly. When the food arrived, I started eating. Xiao Yan dug in as well, but the Yangtze River dragon lady didn't touch her chopsticks. She was still wearing her veil. Yo, Xiao Yan? I heard you're getting married tomorrow. Why are you eating at a street stall? How pitiful. A mocking voice suddenly rang out. I turned and saw 2 men and 3 women approaching. They were decked out in gold and silver, exuding arrogance. They looked about Xiao Yan's age and probably came from wealthy families. In particular, a blonde-haired man stood out, his face full of disdain. The Yangtze River dragon lady didn't even glance at them. With her status as a dragon king, she could crush them with a single finger, but she didn't want her brother to know her true identity. Xiao Yan lowered his head, full of self-doubt. He couldn't hold on to money and was often ridiculed for being poor. That's how it is for the impoverished, trampled on by any random person. Why so quiet? Embarrassed to be eating at a street stall, the blonde-haired man sneered, provoking laughter from the others. Xiao Yan clenched his fists in anger but, with his wedding tomorrow, chose to avoid causing trouble. He kept his frustration in check. Faced with your dragon brother, you don't even dare to speak up. What a loser! The blonde-haired man spat disdainfully. The Yangtze River dragon lady shot him a sidelong glance. And who's this beauty? Introduce me. The blonde-haired man's eyes lit up when he saw the Yangtze River dragon lady, practically drooling. Her eyes narrowed, coldly signaling death. I stayed silent, knowing this guy was digging his own grave. Xiao Yan, you can't even handle being mocked, and now you're letting me meet your dragon sister? The blonde-haired man smirked, stepping closer to the dragon lady. Hey, gorgeous. Add me on WeChat. I'm very capable. The Yangtze River dragon lady glanced at me, clearly unwilling to reveal her identity. This was my cue. When the blonde-haired man's hand reached toward her shoulder, I coughed and blocked him. You're looking pale, probably kidney issues. Why don't you head home and rest instead of bothering people here? You dare say I have kidney problems? The blonde-haired man's face turned red with anger as he glared at me. His friends froze, stunned. Yes, kidney issues. Your complexion is dull, and your lips are pale. What else could it be? Now go. I waved him off. You're dead. The blonde-haired man, humiliated, threw a punch at me. To me, his movements were laughably slow. I casually slapped his face. Smack! The blonde-haired man let out a miserable scream, closed his eyes, and fainted. His 4 companions froze in place. Xiao Yan was stunned too, and so were the surrounding diners. The food stall fell into complete silence. The Yangtze dragoness remained expressionless. Take him away now. I sat back down to continue eating. Dealing with people like that felt like a waste of even a second. The 4 companions hurriedly carried the blonde-haired man away. After the incident, Xiao Yan fell into silence. The Yangtze dragoness turned to him and asked, if you fought back, could you handle them? Xiao Yan sighed and said, I have no power or money. Better to avoid trouble. He chose to back down. The Yangtze dragoness paused for a moment, her expression flickering with complex emotions. When the meal was over, Xiao Yan awkwardly called for the bill. But when he reached into his pocket, his face turned red, his money was gone. I immediately paid for him. He was grateful and promised to pay me back. I nodded in agreement. Later, we went upstairs to rest. Xiao Yan, still feeling embarrassed, avoided looking at me. After leading us home, he said goodnight and went to his room, as he had to get up early the next morning. I remarked, your brother can't seem to hold on to money. Even during something as simple as dinner, he gets mocked and bullied. Life's been tough for him, hasn't it? The Yangtze dragoness replied, it won't be like this for much longer. I shrugged. Since she didn't seem to get my point, I didn't press further and lay down on the bed. She stood there silently for a long time, murmuring, he's never told me he's been bullied. I countered, does he even remember who you are? Why would he tell you? She was struck speechless, sitting down in a daze, leaning against my leg, lost in thought. Her alluring waist-to-hip ratio caught my eye. I got momentarily distracted. Just as I was about to sleep, I remembered that my spell work wasn't finished. Sitting up, I asked her, what color underwear are you wearing today? I wasn't trying to tease her, it was for the spell I intended to cast. Red underwear can ward off evil and ghosts. If you encounter a ghost, putting it over your head can even hide you from them. White symbolizes purity and is often used to change one's fortunes in feng shui. The Yangtze dragoness, having maintained her virginity for thousands of years, imbued her clothing with immense spiritual power. Using her underwear for spell work would yield results far superior to any traditional artifact. She abruptly stood up from the bed, her eyes radiating a bone-chilling murderous intent. For a moment, I genuinely thought she was going to attack me. I sighed, exasperated. Talking to you is exhausting. Don't you understand the significance of a virgin's underwear? Her sharp gaze pierced through me, clearly unsettled. It was obvious that no one had ever asked her such a thing in all her millennia. I went on to explain, you used magic to grant your brother immortality, right? If you want him to be able to hold on to wealth, we first need to suppress your magical influence. Using something of yours is the second step. If you don't want to proceed, just pretend I never asked. Her eyes remained cold, but the anger gradually dissipated. She clearly understood the importance of what I was asking for. Thankfully, she didn't lose her temper completely and managed to prioritize the bigger picture. What's the third step? She asked. I countered with another question, what color are you wearing? She fell silent for a long time, reluctant to answer. Red? I guessed. Green? Black? She frowned, it was none of those. Finally, with visible embarrassment, she quietly muttered, white, her forehead turning red, clearly flustered. I couldn't help but feel speechless. I wasn't teasing her, yet she acted as if she were being cornered. Honestly, I was the one who should have felt wronged. I was asking a perfectly reasonable question, yet she nearly blew up at me. Maybe I should find someone to mediate this nonsense. Her private matters really carried an unnecessary amount of risk. Good. For a moment, I thought you might say white unday. Before I could finish, the Yangtze dragoness shot me another icy glare. I cleared my throat. Just remember to give it to me later. Don't wash it. What's the third step? Get to the point, she interrupted coldly. The third step is crucial. Use a needle to pierce the inside of your thigh and your heart area to draw 10 drops of your essence blood for me. As soon as I said that, her expression turned icy again. Her pale hand shot out, gripping my neck tightly. Her voice was sharp as she said, I'll kill you. Choked, I snapped back angrily, are you insane? Do you want to do this or not? If not, I'm leaving. You have 10 seconds to explain, she demanded, her tone frigid. Explain what? I'm trying to help you, and you're choking me out. I retorted. Do you know why you've spent so many years failing to find a solution? Because no one dared to tell you directly. They all feared ending up like this. I added defiantly. My hand instinctively reached for the lightning-struck bamboo sword in my pocket. I wasn't about to let her take my life. Her gaze stayed locked on me. As I pried her fingers off my neck with one hand, the other stayed firmly on the hilt of the bamboo sword, ready for action. We were at a standoff. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It was her brother, Xiao Yan, who must have heard the commotion. Dragon sis, are you and your boyfriend okay? Xiao Yan asked. Only then did the Yangtze dragoness's icy demeanor subside. She released me and responded gently that everything was fine. My apologies for tonight, Xiao Yan said, assuming my anger was directed at him. I'm sorry if the bed's too small or the room's uncomfortable. It's not the bed. He's just spouting nonsense, the Yangtze dragoness defended him. That set me off. If she thought I was just making things up, then I was done. I stormed out and opened the door. Xiao Yan froze in place. Where are you going? Stop right there, she called out coldly, her imposing aura pressing down on me. Dragon sis, please, let's talk it out. Is my house too small for you? I'm sorry, Xiao Yan said, clearly feeling inadequate. In the face of her brother, her demeanor softened. It's nothing. He's just throwing a tantrum. Come on, bro, Dragon sis already apologized. Don't be mad. Xiao Yan pleaded, pulling on my arm. I stopped and turned to look at her. Dragon sis, say something. Xiao Yan urged, panicked. Finally, she relented. Come back. Let's continue the conversation from earlier. This was probably the first time she'd ever spoken so humbly. I felt a little victorious. Can you do what I asked for? I pressed. She hesitated briefly before responding, yes. Her brother was clearly her Achilles heel. As soon as he showed up, her anger vanished. I worried she might change her mind, so I begrudgingly went back inside. Xiao Yan let out a sigh of relief. Dragon sis, he forgave you. The Yangtze dragoness took a deep breath and softly agreed. Dragon sis, why not kiss him on the cheek? Maybe he'll cheer up faster, Xiao Yan suggested. She froze, her expression conflicted. But seeing her brother's hopeful gaze, she didn't want to let him down. Reluctantly, she approached me. Not wanting to be kissed by her, I quickly pushed her into the room and shut the door. She seemed stunned, and I took the opportunity to say, you've got an early morning tomorrow. Get some rest. We might argue, but it's nothing serious. With that, I closed the door. Xiao Yan, reassured, returned to his room. The room fell silent. Take off your underwear and give it to me. Also, the essence blood, I said, sitting down on the bed. She stared at me. Talking to you is so exhausting. Hurry up! Do you want your brother to hold onto his wealth or not? I challenged. She took a deep breath, glared at me without responding, and walked out. The bathroom was outside the room. I waited for half an hour before the dragon lady of the Yangtze River finally reopened the door and came in. She held a bundle of white lace in one hand and a cup filled with bright red blood in the other. She closed the door and stood still, looking as shy and conflicted as a young girl tasting forbidden fruit for the first time. Nothing about her demeanor resembled a ruler of the river. With a sigh, I got up from the bed and snatched the items from her hands. You washed the underwear? Didn't I tell you not to wash it? I didn't wash it. A blush spread across her forehead as she stammered, cold sweat forming. I glanced down at her pants and noticed they were dry. Realizing my mistake, I coughed lightly. All right, fine. As long as it's not washed. She took a deep breath and regained her composure. I retrieved a talisman, burned the underwear, and divided the ashes into 3 parts, carefully wrapping them in yellow paper. Quietly, I slipped into Xiaoyan's room and placed 1 packet under his bed, 1 in his wallet, and 1 beneath his pillow to suppress the dragon lady's spells. After closing the door, I used my finger to draw a blood sigil on his door. As the symbol took form, it emitted a faint glow. Reciting an incantation, I saw the word go emerge. The blood sigil consumed the door, and the room briefly flashed red before returning to calm. Letting out a long sigh, I opened the door to check on the sleeping Xiaoyan. The wealth palace on his forehead had already begun to radiate light, confirming that the spell was effective. The longer it lasted, the stronger the effect. It seemed the blood was indeed potent, otherwise, the spell wouldn't have worked so smoothly. Closing the door quietly, I turned to find the dragon lady staring at me. I walked over and said, "When dawn comes, we'll see if he can keep the bride price. If he can, it will prove the spell's success. I'm leaving now." She kept staring. I cleared my throat and added, "Fine. To prove I'm trustworthy, I'll stay until he collects the money before leaving." Back in my room, I noticed the dragon lady standing by her brother's door. Her eyes were soft, and a gentle smile graced her lips. It was clear she was genuinely happy that her brother would have a good life. It was only in front of her brother that she let down her icy mask. I ignored her, shut my door, and lay down. Just as I closed my eyes, the door creaked open. She was still smiling, lost in joy, truly delighted for her brother, her worries forgotten. With a creak, she sat on the bed, as if forgetting I was there. Seeing her sitting there dazed and smiling, I coughed and said, "Dragon Lady of the Yangtze, please respect yourself. This is my bed. What are you doing?" Her face turned red, a flash of shyness crossing her eyes. She furrowed her brow, stood up, and her gaze turned cold. I yawned. Her sudden action of sitting by my bed made me wonder if she might try something rash. She stood there while I closed my eyes and drifted into sleep. The noise must have annoyed her, as her brows furrowed. She opened the door to step outside for some fresh air. It seemed she planned to spend the night outside. That worked perfectly for me, I could sleep peacefully. The door opened again, and she closed it, clearly growing more frustrated. In a cold tone, she said, "This is my brother's house. The bed is mine to sleep in. Get up." I yawned in response, "I'm a guest too. It's reasonable for me to sleep on the bed. Competing with me for a bed? Where's your dignity?" "Dignity? Whoever dares provoke me, I'll destroy. Do you dare?" I was too tired and just wanted sleep. "Don't bother me." I didn't think she'd actually harm her own brother. Her eyes narrowed. In an instant, I found myself levitating off the bed. I jumped down and drew my lightning-struck bamboo sword. "Out," she commanded, sitting on the bed. "Did you hear me?" She glanced at me. "Using me and then discarding me, crossing the river and breaking the bridge, huh?" I sneered, heading toward the door. Seeing her defenses down, I acted quickly, thrusting the bamboo sword toward her neck. I hate nothing more than being betrayed. To my surprise, the dragon lady calmly raised her hand, catching the sword with 2 fingers, holding it steady. "I'll say it one more time. Get out," she said coldly. I wasn't scared, I already knew the sword couldn't hurt her. Then, arcs of electricity crackled along the blade, surging into her fingers. Her entire arm trembled violently, her fingers spasming. Her gaze turned icy. With a loud boom, her aura exploded in the small room. The room echoed with the sound of a sonic boom. I knew she was serious now and readied myself to either fight or flee. Suddenly, her brother's voice came from outside the door. "Sister Long, what's going on now?" "Nothing," the dragon lady replied, her tone soft, her gaze instantly becoming gentle. Taking advantage of the moment, I swiftly retrieved my sword and pressed it against her neck. She looked slightly surprised but quickly composed herself. Golden dragon scales began to appear on her neck as protection. Do you know what you're doing? The last person who dared this has already disappeared without a trace, she said in a low voice. I just wanted to sleep, and you stabbed me in the back? I shot back, not backing down. She didn't reply, but her aura grew stronger, pressing on the small room until it creaked. Outside, Xiaoyan asked again, Sister Long, what's happening? It's nothing. Go back to sleep, she said kindly. But Xiaoyan tried to speak again. I said it's fine, she interrupted patiently. I spoke coldly, you leave now, I sleep, and this ends here. Do you think you can harm me? Without breaking through my dragon scales, you're the one who'll end up dead, she warned, staring at me. I never said I wanted to stab you, I replied with a cold smile, placing my hand on her shoulder and slowly stroking it. Her eyes immediately flashed with a sharp, cold light. I'll count to 3. If you agree, I'll stop. If not, I'll keep going, I said firmly. 1, 2, 3. Her gaze grew colder, the dragon scales on her neck shimmering more vividly. The sword's edge scraped against the scales with a crisp sound. You forced me, I said coldly, preparing to act with the lightning sword. Suddenly, the door burst open. Xiaoyan entered in a rush and froze. Sister Long, Yuan. It's nothing. We're just playing around, the dragon lady quickly reassured him. Put the sword down. I stared at her, and she urged anxiously, lower the sword. Did you hear me? I didn't budge. Xiaoyan's eyes showed a mix of complex emotions, as if recalling something painful. He looked at the dragon lady with confusion. Sister Long, who are you really? She stammered, before saying, put the sword down. Your brother's watching. Sensing the shift, I withdrew the sword and pulled her into a hug, planting a light kiss on her cheek. See? It's fine now. You can go to sleep. That kiss was sweet, like tasting jelly, leaving a lingering fragrance. The dragon lady froze entirely, her fingers twitching audibly. You. Xiaoyan stared in shock, eyes wide. It's fine. We were just fooling around, she said gently. What's on your neck? Dragon scales? Who are you really? Xiaoyan pointed at the scales on her neck, his voice trembling with alarm. The Yangtze dragon maiden instinctively touched her neck, a flicker of panic flashing across her face as she hurriedly removed the dragon scale. A demon? You're a demon? Xiaoyan asked in fear. The Yangtze dragon maiden froze, her voice low and trembling. Who are you, really? Speak! Xiaoyan demanded, his eyes fixed on her. Faced with such questioning from her own younger brother, she felt a deep ache in her heart and whispered, I am your sister. Seeing her expression, she finally admitted the truth. I don't have a sister. You're lying. Xiaoyan shook his head, growing more terrified. I am. She stepped closer, placing her finger gently on Xiaoyan's forehead. Xiaoyan immediately became dazed, though his confusion deepened into melancholy and, eventually, anger. The Yangtze dragon maiden said softly, Do you remember now? I'm your sister. Suddenly, Xiaoyan's face turned red, and he yanked away from her. It's you. I remember now. You were always in my dreams, stopping me from being with others, forcing me to abandon my wife and son. Was it you? Years of pent-up emotions exploded from him all at once. Her brother's outburst left the Yangtze dragon maiden trembling, frozen in place. I keep dreaming of a strange woman crying, along with a child. They ask me where I've been, why I left them. I can't answer them because I don't know who they are. When I wake up, I'm in tears, my heart aching as I miss them. But I can't remember their faces. It's exhausting. I know I've done terrible things. These feelings of guilt and confusion keep me up every night. I'll ask you just once, are you the one who forced me to abandon my wife and child? Are you the one who made me give up my friendships and everything else? Xiaoyan's bloodshot eyes burned with fury as he roared his questions. I stayed silent, deeply feeling the weight of his anger. The Yangtze dragon maiden's eyes brimmed with tears, glimmering as she said, Listen to me. Everything I've done has been for your own good. Is it true? Xiaoyan was uncontrollably enraged. She sighed, Yes, it's true. It's all for your own good. For my own good? Did you ever ask me what I wanted? Xiaoyan's words struck like thunder, his voice filled with pain. I'm your sister. I don't need to ask you when it's for your own good, she replied, her voice heavy with sorrow. Enough! Xiaoyan shouted. You claim it's for my own good, forcing me to abandon my wife and child? Turning me into a heartless man? Leaving my child fatherless forever? Making my wife suddenly lose her husband? Is that what's good for me? Each word pierced the Yangtze dragon maiden's heart like a blade. Tears streamed silently down her face, her expression full of grievance. I remained silent. I had seen her composed demeanor at the Yellow River Dragon King's wedding, but I never imagined her being scolded to the point of tears by her own brother. A mighty dragon queen reduced to such a state. Say something. Is your presence now another attempt to make me abandon my wife? Xiao Yan yelled. Yes, I plan to erase your memories and take you away, the Yangtze dragon maiden replied, her voice tinged with pain. How can you be so cruel? Even wild beasts have compassion. Are you heartless? You're worse than an animal as a sister. I don't want you anymore. Leave. Xiao Yan's eyes burned red with hatred as he glared at her. The Yangtze dragon maiden wiped her tears and said, It doesn't matter how much you curse me. Now that you know the truth, tomorrow's wedding is off. Close your eyes, it'll be over soon. She reached out, her hand aimed at Xiao Yan's forehead. You're making me repeat the same mistakes? You're despicable. You're a monster. Xiao Yan bolted out of the room, returning moments later with a kitchen knife in his hand. The Yangtze dragon maiden's tears fell like rain. You're going to use that? I'm your sister. But Xiao Yan lifted the knife to his own neck, and instantly, a deep gash opened. Blood trickled down. I still stayed silent. No, she screamed. What kind of sister are you? You control everything in my life, did you ever ask me? Leave. Xiao Yan roared. She shook her head and said gently, Be good, put the knife down. Don't hurt yourself. It'll hurt. You've hurt me again and again, and you want to keep doing it? Leave. Xiao Yan cried, tears streaming down his face. She continued shaking her head. Be good, put the knife down. He pressed the blade harder, and more blood flowed from his neck. The Yangtze dragon maiden panicked, her aura flaring. In a flash, she grabbed his hand and sighed in relief, though her face was still streaked with tears. Xiao Yan's eyes filled with shock and anger. Be good. Knives aren't toys. Don't play with them again. Close your eyes, it'll be quick. She gently pressed her hand to his forehead. Xiao Yan struggled desperately, his tear-filled eyes pleading. No, leave. Don't erase my memories. I'm getting married tomorrow. Xiao Fang is waiting for me. Don't do this. I'm a person, not your puppet. I'm begging you. He broke down, crying, his voice filled with despair. I felt my heart waver, sensing his helplessness. Ordinary people only wish for a stable life, to marry and raise their families. But the Yangtze dragon maiden was too extreme, stubborn to the end. I had already warned her before. Shoo, don't hurt yourself. Everything I've done is for your own good. This time, your life will be prosperous. You'll have everything you could ever want. The Yangtze dragon maiden spoke gently, a golden light radiating from her hand as it touched Xiao Yan's forehead. It's done, I said with a sigh. The Yangtze dragon maiden, obstinate as ever, didn't even glance at me. He's my brother. Stay out of it. Everything I've done is for him. I countered, I may be an outsider, but I was the first to notice he was biting his tongue to kill himself. What? She turned to look in alarm, her face immediately filled with anguish. Xiao Yan stubbornly bit his tongue, blood dripping from the corners of his mouth. He was clearly harming himself. Brother, don't do this. She stopped her spell, channeling a beam of spiritual light into Xiao Yan's body, her tear-filled eyes betraying her heartbreak. But Xiao Yan had already fallen unconscious. Overwhelmed with guilt, she sobbed uncontrollably. Why are you so foolish? Why would you do this? Because he doesn't need your control, I said. Shut up, she snapped, losing her composure. He's the only one who knows what he wants. Even as his sister, you're still an outsider, I insisted. Shut up. Her eyes burned red with fury. If everything you've done is for his own good, why did he try to kill himself? I asked. She wanted to argue, but no words came. Why does he reject you? Why doesn't he acknowledge you as his sister? I pressed. Stop it. Her tears flowed freely. This isn't about me. I have a sister too, but she's nothing like you to her brother. You can love him, but you can't control him. I took Xiao Yan from her arms without resistance. Channeling my yang energy into his body, I restored the glow of his destiny palace, a unique healing method of divination masters. Yang energy, stronger than ordinary spiritual energy, proved effective. Soon, his destiny palace brightened. I gently pried open his mouth, using yang energy to heal the wounds on his tongue. Though still unconscious, Xiao Yan was no longer in danger. I helped him to a chair and turned to face the Yangtze dragon maiden. He's fine now. So what will you choose, to remain stubborn or to let him acknowledge you? Her eyes were swollen and red, her fear and sadness from earlier still lingering. This is section 4758. Below is the processed content while maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. If she were hurt, she would never make a sound, but if her younger brother got hurt, she couldn't control her emotions. She walked over and gently stroked Xiaoyan's forehead. Don't hurt yourself anymore. It breaks my heart. Do you really want to get married that badly? What's so great about love? Isn't being alone better? I don't understand you. I looked at her silently. Her hand, still resting on his forehead, began to emit a golden glow, as if clearing memories. Xiaoyan's pain started to fade, and he appeared to fall asleep, forgetting everything. She carried him to his room and gently tucked him in. I shook my head, realizing she was still stubborn, ignoring what others thought. I wanted to speak but held back, grateful I didn't have such an extreme sister, otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to endure it. At this point, I had nothing more to say. She closed the door. All right, I'm leaving, I said, figuring that if the wedding was off and the bride price wasn't being accepted, there was no point in staying. Might as well go find Jiang Jiuxuan. How will I know your spell is complete if you leave? She asked. You erased his memory, what's the point of a wedding? The bride price isn't being accepted anymore, I might as well go. I shook my head. I didn't erase all his memories, she replied. I froze. Then what did you just do? I erased the memories of him meeting the two of us. I don't want him to remember yelling at me, she whispered. What does that mean? I was stunned. Forget it. If he wants to get married, let him. I won't interfere anymore. She said this while looking at the closed door, her gaze filled with tenderness and love. I was taken aback. Had she finally come around? Maybe my earlier questioning had left her momentarily bewildered. You're not bad, I couldn't help but say. He's my younger brother. What else can I do? As long as he's happy, that's all that matters. I just hope he won't yell at me again, it hurts me when he does. Before he wakes up, let's leave. I don't want him to see us. She said this and began walking. I hesitated for a moment, then smiled. The dragon lady of the Yangtze River seemed to have given all her patience, reflection, gentleness, and even her best temper to her brother. Who wouldn't like such a beautiful, open-minded sister? I also walked out, closing the door behind me. Downstairs, I got into the car with her. She started making phone calls, instructing people to book out a 5-star hotel and to arrange wedding cars, lots of them. It was obvious she was helping her brother set up a wedding overnight. As the Dragon King, she certainly had plenty of money, so it would undoubtedly be extravagant. Watching her busy herself, I yawned and dozed off for a while. When I woke up, dawn was breaking. The streets were nearly empty, but I immediately noticed a row of brand-new Mercedes G-Class SUVs, 18 of them. It was incredibly luxurious. I wasn't too surprised, though. For her, this level of extravagance was nothing. Xiaoyan came running down from upstairs, looking equally stunned. A man in a suit stepped out of one of the cars, politely approaching him. Who are you? Xiaoyan asked, clearly envious of the fleet of luxury cars. Don't worry about who I am. Someone has arranged a wedding for you. Just come with us. You've got the wrong person, Xiaoyan said, shaking his head. He obviously had no memory of the earlier events. No mistake. The bride has already been sent to a new hotel. Are you serious? He quickly made a phone call to confirm, and 10 seconds later, he exclaimed in shock, Who are you people, really? Just get in the car. The man in the suit pushed him into the vehicle. Xiaoyan, completely confused, complied. As the motorcade departed, the dragon lady of the Yangtze River smiled faintly and followed after them. At the entrance of the 5-star hotel, the venue was already decorated, complete with a massive wedding photo. Guests were dressed to the nines, and the atmosphere was festive. Xiaoyan stepped out of the car, utterly bewildered, unable to recognize most of the people present. Xiaoyan, why didn't you ever tell us you had so many wealthy connections? His mother-in-law, dressed in a cheongsam, greeted him joyfully. I don't know any of these people. Xiaoyan replied, confused. Don't play dumb. I looked into it, everyone here is here for you. I never realized you were a hidden rich second generation. Now I'm perfectly at ease marrying my daughter to you, she said, thoroughly pleased. Then who are they? She asked. Xiaoyan looked around in a daze. Slowly, his gaze grew more confident, and he smiled. I think I have a sister. She probably arranged this. A sister? Where is she? I don't know. I don't really remember her, but I see her often in my dreams. I always feel like she's very good to me. Alright, let's go greet the guests first. His mother-in-law pulled him inside. He turned back and looked for a long time before finally entering the hotel.